Some have been here for days. Mothers sleeping on the floor with their children. Now it is hot and steamy here. There is no AC. Backup generators are keeping the lights on for about 10 commercial flights a day. And now there are concerns that Maria's wide debt, whether this exodus could be a sign of things to come.
This morning, growing signs throughout Puerto Rico of another crisis. Already ravaged by the most powerful hurricane to hit the island in decades, it could soon face a huge migration. Puerto Ricans by the tens of thousands leaving what's left of their homes and coming to the U.S. mainland. The governor sounding the alarm.
Do you expect a mass exodus of Puerto Ricans to the U.S. mainland?
If conditions are inhospitable, if we don't have the resources to rebuild properly, then yes, and this is going to cause a problem for Puerto Rico, but of course it's going to cause a problem for the mainland as well.
All over the U.S. territory, these American citizens are struggling to survive. No running water, gas is scarce, and they could be without power for months. These nighttime images from space dramatically show the island before Hurricane Maria and after. Most of the electric grid completely wiped out. NBC's Lester Holt rode along with the National Guard, flying into San Juan with desperately needed supplies.
People talk about how bad it is, but you really don't see it until you see it.
The lines here for gas begin well before dawn. People standing in line here for hours and down the street. Parked cars stretch down the block. People sleeping here overnight just hoping for gas. Now, nearly 12,000 people are in emergency shelters a week after the storm.
This morning in Puerto Rico, lines for necessities like food, water, cash, and gas are sometimes stretching for blocks. The desperation is deepening. This woman says she's been waiting to get a flight since Friday, sleeping on the floor at the airport with no air conditioning. Horrible, she says.
Puerto Rico is very important to me.
After not mentioning Puerto Rico this past weekend while tweeting about sports 17 times, President Trump is facing criticism and now dramatically intensifying his focus on the growing crisis, telling lawmakers he'll tour the ravaged island next Tuesday. The president conducting a video teleconference in the Situation Room with Puerto Rico's governor and congratulating his own administration at a news conference with the Spanish Prime Minister.
It's amazing, tremendous reviews. Our team has been incredible.
And offering this explanation for the lack of more aid.
It's out in the ocean. You can't just drive your trucks there from other states. As Governor Rossello just told me this morning, the entire federal workforce is doing great work in Puerto Rico.
San Juan's mayor says while she appreciates FEMA's help so far,
the red tape has been getting in the way.
She's also brushing off a presidential tweet that because of the island's massive debt, it's in deep trouble.
We are in a very dire situation here, and the issue at hand is how do we get lives and how do we get the things needed to save lives into the hands of the people.
Humanitarian aid is on the way. The Navy is sending the Comfort, its floating hospital ship, to join the USS Kearsarge Group, which is already conducting search and relief missions. And Dallas Mavericks point guard J.J. Barea is bringing supplies back to his native Puerto Rico using team owner Mark Cuban's plane.
We're just trying to help. It's really, really bad down here.
But more help can't come soon enough. Vanessa Schisler says she had to stand in line for 3 hours to get cash, then another 2 hours to get formula for her 4-week-old daughter, Ava.
You know, as a mom, how tough is it to have to go through this with such a young child?
This is a nightmare. This is not where I planned to be or wanted to be during, the first few weeks of my baby's life.
And as we were talking, you heard earlier in Gabe's report, the heat indexes in Puerto Rico today on into tomorrow, guys, are going to be well above 100 degrees. So with no air conditioning, it really is going to be intolerable there. National Weather Service radar knocked out, probably won't get replaced for another 6 months. So they're kind of blind as far as any other weather coming their way.
All right, Al. Thank you very much.
There's another way water can get into the air. The water on the doghouse roof dried pretty fast in the warm sun. This water disappears faster because the stove is hotter. This change from water we can see to water vapor we can't see is called evaporation. The cloud from the spout of the tea kettle is condensation of the water vapor from the tea kettle hitting the colder air. The hot water in the kettle gives off water vapor to the air by rapid evaporation, just as rivers, lakes, and ponds give off water vapor to the air by slow evaporation. As the hot water-filled air hits the colder air near the ice tray, the water vapor turns into clouds of tiny water droplets floating in the air, condensation. When the air is quite cold and cannot hold any more water droplets, they collect together to form larger drops, as on the ice tray. And being too heavy to float in the air, they fall back to the earth as rain. Without water in the air, we couldn't live. Our fields would be dry and nothing would grow. The hot water in the kettle gives off water vapor to the air by rapid evaporation, just as rivers, lakes, and ponds give off water vapor to the air by slow evaporation. The hot water in the kettle gives off water vapor to the air by rapid evaporation, just as rivers, lakes, and ponds give off water vapor to the air by slow evaporation. The hot water in the kettle gives off water vapor to the air by rapid evaporation, just as rivers, lakes, and ponds give off water vapor to the air by slow evaporation.